Carl Colonius. I'm in the Outdoor Recreation Planner with the Outdoor Recreation Division. Recreation Division was initiated in 2019, just over 5 years ago. We celebrated our 5th-year anniversary in April of this last spring when the legislation was signed. This is a Governor Lujan Grisham initiative. She identified that outdoor recreation is a target industry that can better diversify and grow the New Mexico economy. And the Outdoor Rec Division has grown to be a national leader in outdoor rec through some of our key programs. We're going to be focusing today on the Trail Plus program. But I just want to let folks know that the Outdoor Recreation Division also supports outdoor recreation businesses through an accelerator or technical assistance program. And we are strongly focused on diversifying or making the outdoor space inclusionary. So the Outdoor Equity Grant Fund is a program that we put resources out into communities through schools and nonprofits to intentionally recruit underrepresented or uninvited population centers into the outdoor recreation sphere. But today, it's really just about Trail Plus for the most part. So the Outdoor Recreation Division mission: we increase equitable access to the outdoors for all New Mexicans, ensuring healthy outcomes, environmental stewardship, and economic prosperity. Pretty straightforward. We are a division within the Economic Development Department, and you can see in our core values, sustainable economic development is our first targeted value. Conservation and stewardship. We obviously care about the natural environment, and our programming is consistently reinforcing the need for conservation and stewardship. As the Economic Development Department division, we're also looking at the education and workforce development as it fits into the outdoor recreation sphere. We also know that connecting people to recreational opportunities and the natural world increases health and wellness. We're significantly invested in making that part of our mission. And finally, equity and access. The outdoor space should be open to one and all. I think you can look at this as an effort to take trails and recreational infrastructure closer to where people live and work, and really try to connect our communities into the projects that we work on. We know that trails and outdoor experiences increase community health indicators. I would refer folks to Richard Louv's book, Last Child in the Woods. He identified a direct correlation between the increase in screen time and the increase in diagnosis of ADD and ADDH. As we spend less time in the natural world, we're training ourselves not to be able to sort the chaos, kind of the smells and sights and sounds that envelop us in the outdoor world. Pretty interesting theorem. Last Child in the Woods is the name of that book. We also know that economic development through recreation, whether it's ecotourism or small businesses growing around where population centers recreate, is very well documented. And I'd refer you to Headwaters Economics. They've got a full library of the documentation of the powerful impact economically on recreation infrastructure. I think the last numbers I saw, it's a 4-to-1 return. Every dollar invested in recreational infrastructure, you see economic benefits 4 times that investment amount. And that's both gross receipts as well as decrease in healthcare expenses. A healthier, more vital population has a lower healthcare cost. So all good stuff about our work. So I wanted to introduce our team. Our director is Karina Armijo. Our deputy director is AJ Jones. I am the guy in the blue hat. And on our call today and taking your questions in the chat room is Michelle. I'd like to welcome her to the team as our new marketing outreach coordinator. So that is the extent of the New Mexico Outdoor Recreation Division. Pretty finite, or kind of we are the light infantry in that sense. So I'm going to jump right into talking about the Outdoor Recreation Trails Grant. We just completed the evaluation of round 5 from fiscal year 24. We have significant investments going out into the community. In fiscal year 24, we were successful in dispersing more than $10 million in Trail Plus grants. Very satisfied with that effort and with the quality of proposals that we were lucky enough to be able to fund. The Trail Plus grant is used to plan, build out, and maintain the infrastructure needed to create sustainable access to outdoor recreation. Trailheads, trail systems, signage, outdoor classrooms, group shelters. We work with communities across New Mexico to build out the projects that are on their priority list. And we're focused on improving the quality of life for residents and visitors, stimulating regional economic development, promoting community health through supporting an active lifestyle, increasing access to the beautiful places that make New Mexico unique. These projects represent our investment into community-driven recreational infrastructure, and we leverage significant private and additional public fund investments through our match programming. So you can see where our distribution of projects are. This is through the second quarter of fiscal year 24. So it's not completely up to date, but it's a pretty good representation of where our funding goes. It pretty much follows the population centers in the state. I will be touring the eastern counties this fall in order to encourage their incorporation. We've got a couple more dots to add to this pattern in our most recent funding round. But for the most part, you can see where our work has taken place. We've got a significant number of projects over in San Juan County in the upper left corner of the state, and down in Grants County around Silver City, you'll see another cluster of projects. And then from Sunland Park up through Doña Ana County, including Las Cruces, we've got another number of projects. And then in and around Albuquerque, in and around Santa Fe and the 8 northern pueblos, and then up in Taos County, Colfax County, a number of other smaller projects. So for our Trail Plus programming, in 2020, we started with 6 pilot projects. With the latest round of grants awarded, we will have over 160, but those haven't been announced yet. So on the ground right now, we've got 148 projects in 29 counties and 10 tribes, worth over $15 million in funding. So the Trail Plus grant program is really, kind of having a sea change or a significant impact on our communities in New Mexico. The eligible applicants for Trail Plus funding include tribes, pueblos, and nations, municipalities, counties, nonprofits, public preschools, schools and districts, colleges and universities, soil and water conservation districts, acequia and land grant associations, pretty much everyone but a state agency or a federal land management agency. So we don't provide funding to other state departments, and we can't provide direct funding to the National Forest or the Bureau of Land Management or the National Park Service, but we can fund nonprofits that are partners with those federal land management entities. So the grant program is open right now. It is the first round will be evaluated at the close of September. So you've got until September 30th to submit a proposal for fiscal year 25 round 1. In the Trail Plus programming, we have tier 1 projects that are eligible to receive up to $100,000. Tier 2 projects can go up to $500,000. And a Tier 2 project would be more of a regional model. Maybe you've got the Bureau of Land Management and the Cibola National Forest involved in the conversation with a local trail association and a county, and there's a couple of trailheads, some signage, and some new single track segments. That's where we would think about a Tier 2 project. But if it's a local trail system with you want to redo your signage on that particular trail system on this side of town, that's probably a Tier 1 project. So you could go up to 100,000 for Tier 1, up to 500,000 for Tier 2. And new as of fiscal year 25, we're introducing a Tier 3 proposal that will be from $500,000 to $1 million. We are cognizant that some of the projects that we are working with are of larger scale, have a larger price tag because of their complexity or extent, and we want to be able to up our buy-in in order to support that scale of programming. The other adjustments to the Trail Plus program this year, nonprofits are now eligible for Tier 2 if they are of sufficient capacity. And capacity to us means that you have an operating budget and have had an operating budget 5 times the size of your grant submission. So if you're asking for a $500,000 grant, you should have a $2.5 million operating budget for your agency. So nonprofits are eligible for Tier 2, but we're looking for organizations that have the financial capacity to implement a project of that scale and also dedicated staff for that project. We could talk more about that later if questions come up, but nonprofits now eligible for Tier 2 grants. One other change that we have, that current grantees that are making progress and are in good standing, that also have capacity, as I just described, are eligible for consecutive fiscal year funding. So for folks less familiar with the Trail Plus grant, it is funded on a 24-month implementation schedule. So this means that if you have a current Trail Plus grant, say you were awarded the first round in 2023, and you are, kind of making good progress on it, but you've got another project, and your entity, whether it's a unit of government or a nonprofit, if you have another project and you've got the capacity to implement that, we are going to allow current grantees to apply for funding in consecutive fiscal years. And I'm happy to take questions on that as we roll on. The other piece that I'll make note is that we do still have a match requirement. So in rural communities, that is a 2-to-1 match. So tribal entities and rural communities, it's a 2-to-1 match. That's 2 state dollars for 1 match dollar. In the urban parts of the state, it's a 1-to-1 match. The match can include federal grants, state grants, private foundations, cash from fundraising initiatives, in-kind volunteer efforts, donated supplies or materials, use of equipment, and kind of just an example of that, because this question does come up quite a bit. If you're partnering on a trail system and you're building a trail in partnership with the city of Las Cruces, and they are using their 2-ton dump truck to deliver base course for the project, then it's not just the value of the base course, but what's the estimated value if you had to rent that 2-ton dump truck? Make sure you capture that value and use it as part of your match. Yeah, I think that about covers where we're going with that slide. So I also want to introduce folks to a new website format, same website, nmoutside.com. but it's a new screen, new format, new content. So on the left, you can see that you'll roll into that new screen. You'll go to the third pull down that says grants, the Outdoor Recreation Trail Plus grant. Go ahead and open that up. Then you'll see the screen on your right. You can see the grant cycle timing. That tab for application will take you directly to the application portal, which is still on Submittable. We're using the same application platform. And then roll down and you can see the guide. The grant guide answers a lot of these questions, presents a lot of this information, has kind of responses to frequently asked questions, examples of projects. So that's a valuable resource, and I would strongly encourage folks to spend a little time with the grant guide before you jump into your application. The other, kind of value that you're going to see on this website is all of our previous grantees are listed. So you'll easily be able to find examples of programming. And I would strongly encourage you also to think about that networking. We want to make sure that if you have a Trail Plus project, you are aware of what's going on around you, because there might be opportunities for collaboration or connectivity, which creates a stronger trail system. Reporting will also be happening through Submittable. To date, we have used, and many of you have heard me grumble about this, we've had a Google survey that hasn't allowed us to really track the data collecting from our reports. So we're shifting to a Submittable-based reporting platform. As a grantee, you will receive notification when your reporting is due. You will submit that reporting through the Submittable application platform, and we'll be able to collate our data and track your progress that way. So we're excited about that, and that will be rolled out pretty quickly. So of specific note, because this is kind of a tough spot for folks to be consistent on in the application portal, this is the budget worksheet. When you are completing your proposal and it comes time to work through your budget, please use our format. There's a pull down list. Sorry, I've got a little bit of feedback. Make sure if you are on the line, maybe you could mute yourself, please. Thank you so much. So this budget worksheet will be part of the Submittable platform. There's a pull-down menu of how to label your category, and then the next column, just a few words in description of that item. And then your actual dollar figure should go either in the Trail Plus grant or in the match column. So think about your application as you've got a total cost. Maybe the total cost is $150,000. And you're a rural community, so the $50,000 is going to be your match, and the $100,000 will be in your grant. If you could, please allocate your match to the specific line items. Show us where your match is going to be committed. And then obviously for your grant budget as well, give us a line item that totals up to your grant request. So your grant request in the budget and your match should total up to what you're asking for and are providing in match. Pretty self-explanatory. If you've got questions about that, please don't hesitate to contact me offline. I'm happy to run through it with you. So just talking a little bit about and giving some visuals of what our programming can fund. And, really, what is the plus in Trails Plus? Because you'll note that none of the pictures on the screen are of a trail or a horse or a motorcycle or a mountain bike. So how do we connect New Mexicans to the outdoors? On the left, you see the Taos Academy Charter School outdoor classroom. This space, the fence, the wood chips, the picnic tables were all purchased with a Trail Plus grant, allowing Taos Charter School to spend more academic time outside and connect their students to the natural world. The middle photo was a collaboration between the Adobe Paddlers Coalition and the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District. So that is a brand new boat ramp put in takeout on the Rio Grande. This is on the north end of Albuquerque. The parking lot, driving access, turnaround, so you are now not schlepping a boat a couple hundred yards to get down to the river. You can pull a trailer or a vehicle right down to the put-in, unload your material, and then take your vehicle up to an upper parking lot. There's also signage on river, so while you are floating, paddling on the Rio Grande for this project, there will be signs on bridges so you know where you are. There's also a significant trailhead sign at the put-in that shows you the various takeout options if you're unfamiliar with the environment. So a water trail. On the right, you can see an environmental education facility. We did this in partnership with the Collins Ranch over in Mora County. During COVID, they experienced a swell in participation from the Mora Independent School District and needed to up their game as far as their facilities. And you can see that we helped them with an outdoor classroom as well as some facilities to make it a safe and sustainable environmental experience for the kids. Other examples of what the plus in Trail Plus could signify, you see a group shelter. That happens to be in the town of Cimarron, but the village of Springer and the city of Lovington have similar facilities using the Trail Plus grant to design and construct those group shelters, drawing community members outdoors, creating a beautiful, attractive outdoor gathering space. The middle is a bathroom that the town of Red River used a Trail Plus grant to build in Mallet Park. It's a gateway into the Carson National Forest. Beautiful facility. And yes, don't bug me about the ADA access. They hadn't finished landscaping, and that 4-inch concrete lip is going to be gone. Also, San Juan College, the village of Corrales, Luna County. We're building bathrooms all over the state that enable folks to recreate and access public lands. And if you think about it, if we can pay for bathrooms and the rec trail program out of the Department of Transportation can't, pretty good dovetail, pretty good match. If your rec trail program would benefit from a bathroom, thinking about supplementing that grant with one of our grants and build your bathroom, because rec trail program grants have restrictions about building restrooms. Take that, Samuel. We also have done a lot of Frisbee golf courses, very small physical investment with significant return. Think about the inclusion in Frisbee golf courses, young, old, competitive, lackadaisical, pretty cool opportunity to get folks outside in a growing sport. It's all ages, casual or serious, and very cool. Other projects that we've put on the ground in the last couple of years, the Tijeras Biozone ADA Sensory Nature Trail, really just a fantastic, in-depth, well thought out project that engages and supports visual, hearing, mobility impairments. Obviously ADA accessible, but goes beyond that. The Tijeras Creek on the east side of Albuquerque put this project together on essentially an old dairy, and it really is going to allow the community, and specifically those folks who have impairments or move differently, are going to have a fantastic asset for their experiences. More traditionally, you can see the before and after shots. This is Taos Pueblo's New Mexico 150 trail. It is in its design phase, so that's a conceptualization of what the after will look like. It's on the western perimeter of Taos Pueblo, right along New Mexico 150. and it's going to create a connection between the old blinking light K-Tau parking lot, which is actually a state parking lot, and Arroyo Seco on the north end. So a 4.7-mile trail that will create that connectivity and get folks off of a very fast-moving trafficked road. And as you can see, it's got very little shoulder there. We really encourage thinking around this. Folks may or may not know that New Mexico is the 7th most dangerous state for bicycling. And that's oftentimes because we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the signage. We do need to do operator education on both sides, both from the vehicle as well as from pedestrians and bicyclists. This is not just recreation, but creates commuting capacity and, you know, getting people out of their vehicles as an opportunity to improve community health indicators. So safe human-powered transportation infrastructure regularly tops out high priorities in community planning processes. So encourage folks to think about that. We also do a lot of work with the equestrian community. We had a dedicated call earlier this summer trying to get more equestrian users and organizations familiar with the Trail Plus grant program. There's a number of things that we need to be sensitive about. Trailer parking, if you are trailering your horses to a trailhead, we need to make sure that there's dedicated parking, that you can't get parked in, and that the trails are well designed and crafted to support equestrians. We do a lot of work with the mountain bike community. Many of the trail systems we support have a percentage of the trails optimized for mountain bike use. This could be enhanced tread shaping berms, technical trail features like rock gardens or rollovers. And these technical trail features will increase the challenge and also can control speed. So it's a design feature that we use, especially around intersections, to keep the mountain bike crowd in a reasonable pace when necessary. The philosophy of the Outdoor Recreation Division is around shared use. So we look at the preferred use by design, trail system design philosophy, trying to optimize the separation of user groups while still allowing user groups to access the entire trail system. So that specific strategy is called preferred use by design. So, you know, design this system so that equestrians are going to go right and mountain bikers are going to go left because those trails are designed for their use, but they're able to use them all should they be so inclined. We also do a lot of work with motorized recreation, most recently with the New Mexico Off-Highway Vehicle Association. They actually helped to replace several Forest Service fences with cattle guards. Motorized rec, needing to get out of your vehicle, open up the gate, and then close it behind you. Oftentimes that gate gets left open. Cattle guard protects both the motorized recreationalists from making that mistake and supports ranchers who are trying to keep their cattle in one pasture or another. So pretty cool project by the New Mexico Off-Highway Vehicle Association. So looking at that, I'm going to spend a little time on signage. Signage is quite important. Oftentimes for folks not super familiar with it, it becomes an afterthought. We are putting out a trail signage guide closer to the end of the summer. Right now, it's going through a peer review process before we put that out. But just 3 examples here of typical signage. Trail system signage or a trailhead sign, like the Enchanted Circle Trails on the left there. You've got the full detailed map with descriptions of trails. On the right-hand side, you've got leave no trace, as well as slow and say hello trail etiquette messaging. And then on the bottom panel, you can see that the groups that are supporting maintenance and that were involved in construction of that trail system are listed. And you'll note that that kiosk is using a flattened metal screen to attach the signage to. That eliminates the opportunity for tagging. It also keeps folks from putting up yard sale signs and just stapling it onto your plywood. And it's cost effective. It is more affordable than a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. The middle sign, wayfinding signage. This would be a replication of the detailed sign that you would see, or the detailed map at a trailhead, but you can notice that the intersections have numbers. So you put this sign up and boom, people know exactly where they are in the context of the larger system. Really helps with orientation and with search and rescue response. And as we build more recreation infrastructure, we certainly need to be sensitive to safety and making sure that folks have an opportunity to respond versus, yeah, I fell down, I hurt myself, I don't know quite where I am, come and find me. So that wayfinding intersection sign, quite important. And then the last sign, you can see a standard interpretive sign, lots of opportunities to help educate, create a narrative for your trail system, make your trail system more interesting, and generate a positive user experience. For instance, think about the trails down near Glorieta. This view sure is pretty, but did you know this is where the ragtag New Mexico militia held off the Texas Confederate forces in 1862? That type of information creates a richer experience. And our guide, again, will help provide some leadership on that, and look for that coming out this fall. When you are designing your trail systems or your projects, this is a rough outline of the phases that you would anticipate. Feasibility study. Why would we want to put trails in here? What type of trails would those be? Who is our user group? And are there enough users in order to justify the investment into a trail system? That can then work into a concept plan where you float it in front of the community. That then would morph into a master plan that has general community agreement. Your planning process needs to include diverse voices from your community. Expect a compromise. Even if you go through that process, that won't guarantee you won't have a NIMBY response. Change is hard for folks. But why not increase your odds of getting a well thought out and critically analyzed project on the ground without the stall of needing to explain yourself again and again on the justification of your project. So don't rely on what you think is common sense or good land management practices. Be inclusive, and specifically look for folks that you feel might not be in support of it. Get their voices included, and help find the compromise that will work for your project. And kind of looking down towards the environmental clearances, Trail Plus will pay for the NEPA process. If there is engineering or construction documents, that can also be incorporated into your Trail Plus proposal. Of course, kind of the next box, construction. We pay for the actual construction of these programs, and then kind of the last, post-build maintenance. Please don't neglect the management component. Either budget internally for maintenance or budget to contract for maintenance. You need to be cognizant that once constructed, these projects do have a need for ongoing upkeep. If you do them right, that will be minimal. But regardless, there is going to be a responsibility for trail stewardship. And just to talk briefly about a strategy, a low-cost strategy for trail maintenance, as a community, as a region, you could think about a trail master training. Tap someone from your federal land management agency or a state agency to put on a trail master training. What are trail stewardship tools? What are the best practices as far as how to maintain this segment of trail? And then once you've completed that training, coordinate some trail stewardship events. Host something on Public Lands Day, host something on National Trails Day. Have those events to build your community's energy and capacity to take care of your own trails. And then the final step of that trail master training, trail stewardship events, is the adopt a trail programming. Organize a program so that just like highway adoption, trails or trail systems can be adopted by local entities, whether it's a for-profit business, a civic group, a local sports team, all of those strategies to get more stewardship energy onto the trail systems that we all value so much. So that kind of wraps up the formal presentation. Really hoping that we've got some good questions rolling up. But let me just wrap with the Outdoor Rec Division is working to build out our outdoor recreation infrastructure throughout the state. We want to create a more inclusive space and generate energy around outdoor recreation businesses. Access to public lands and open spaces needs to be equitable. It needs to be open to all communities in New Mexico and all New Mexicans. And we want to ensure that every family has access to a safe place to play in nature. So happy to take your calls and see what folks are looking for as far as questions.